Welcome to the first Unity tutorial in this series. So with this series, this is for a college course, and so we're going to be taking 14 weeks to learn Unity and hopefully do some amazing projects. The first thing that you need to do is install Unity on your machines. And I'll have a separate tutorial if you end up using the lab computers, how you can create a bootable USB drive with an image of OS X on there, so you can actually have Unity and use the lab computers, because currently it's not installed on there. But you can get a student edition and then install it on an external drive and then boot from that drive and go from there. So to start with, what you need to do is you need to download it. So you want to go to store.unity.com, and if you're a first-time user, which most of you likely are, click on the Start Here button for first-time users. It'll basically give you all of this stuff, and you can click Agree and Download. Now, there is another option too. If I just search for student, and the third option down is get a Unity student plan today. If we click on that, you can go ahead and click on Get Access here. And basically, I think you have to have a you have to apply, and it does say verification can take up a few weeks. So you have to create an account. There's all sorts of steps there. But once you do that, you basically get Unity Pro for free, I believe. And there's a couple other helpful things on there. Alternatively, you just use the free plan. It's a little bit faster. But in either case, you will need to create an account on Unity. So once you click on all the buttons and do all the processes and you download Unity, Unity will install two apps on your computer. The first is Unity Hub, and then the second will be whatever version of Unity is available at the time that you download it. So if I on the Mac, which is what I predominantly use, if I click on the search thing and I type in Unity, now that I've had it installed, you'll see that Unity Hub is my top hit and Unity is below that. If you end up installing multiple versions of Unity, which each time there's an update, it installs a new version. And you can have many, many different installs on your machine. But so let's go ahead, and if I open up Unity Hub, if I'm not logged in, it may ask me to log in with my Unity account information. You can see up here, it says AS in the corner. That there's usually a login button there if you're not logged in, but I'm already logged in. And so generally the first pane you see is your projects pane, and there shouldn't be anything in there yet. There's a few other panes here. There's Learn, which has different projects that you can download that have tutorials built into them, which can be really useful. And then there's a series of other tutorials on different types of different things that Unity has to offer. Unity is really intense in terms of the amount of things you can do and the freedom that you have to do various different projects in here. The community, basically these are like if you have questions like something's not working, right? There's forums, there's a blog, etc. And Unity now, I believe, is like skills and knowledge. They keep changing the names of things. And then the installs is the different versions of Unity you currently have installed. So I currently have 2020.1.6. The one that when you download this as of right now, it's going to be 2020.2. The one it suggests downloading is actually 2019.4, which just has a long-term service window. So that's like their stable version as they continue to release these things. We're going to use the newest version unless whatever's the most current unless there ends up being some big bug that causes a lot of frustrations with your projects. So, and then just to add another install, if you don't have one already, you click on Add. And you can see it, the recommended release is this 2019.4, but the newest one right now is 2020.2. If I click on that and hit Next, these next steps are something when you go to install it, it's going to ask you anyway. So please pay attention to this. Whatever system you're working on, right? If you're working in Windows, you want to make sure Windows build support is checkmarked. If you're working on the Mac, make sure Mac is checked. If you happen to be working on a Linux machine, checkmark that. And then there's also this WebGL build support, which I have checkmarked. That's something that I'm going to, when I do install this new version, I'm going to install. I'm not going to do that right now because it will take forever to download. Note that it is huge, right? And I think I can probably zoom in on this, maybe. There we go. Right? It's going to take 14.4 gigs of space just to have the Mac build, the WebGL build support, and then Unity itself, which is insane. But note, we can also install Android build support, iOS. I've never used tvOS. I don't even know what that is. Right? And so even though I'm developing on a Mac, I can build to Android, I can build to iOS, I can build my projects for Windows, and this works pretty well. It's also really nice to download the documentation. Documentation is all available online as well, but if for some reason you have flaky internet access, having these, it still loads in a browser. It's just offline and stored on your computer. Because oftentimes you're going to need to reference the documentation. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit cancel because I'm not going to do that. And then to open a project or to create a new project, I'm going to go to Projects. I'm going to go to New. And when I do that, it opens this other window and it asks me what I want it to be named and where I want it to be stored. So I'm actually going to change this from downloads because that's not where I want it. And I'm going to go ahead and put this in the folder for this class. So I'm going to select that folder, and then I'm going to change this to, maybe we'll just call this tutorial series or something like that. And maybe _1. I don't know. So I'm going to name it that. That's where I want it to be. And then there's several different templates. The one that I'm going to suggest that we use to do our projects, and when you download the new version 2020.2, there are even more templates out there. But the one that we're going to look at, that I'm going to want you to use, is the universal render pipeline. This is the reason for that is that this sets up everything to all the effects and everything that you could potentially put in and the visual look and feel of what you're working on. And it makes it the easiest to have it function on a wide range of different hardware. The high definition RP, if you have a really fancy video card, I don't, but if you have a really fancy video card in a tower, go for it. You know, you could use that, but the universal render pipeline is basically for all other projects. So I'm going to select that as my template, and I'm going to click Create. And then I'm going to scroll out. Now, last time I did this, there was an error where Unity failed to build this project. I'm kind of hoping that we can go through what that looks like. So let's see. It's thinking. It does take a while to load a project for the first time. There's a lot of assets and things that get built and imported in order to make this work. And so Unity is a really nice piece of software that does allow you to do a range of things. Okay, so this is the error that happened last time. I have no idea why this is occurring. So what's happening is, right, it says it failed to load window layout, right? And this may not happen for you, and that's great. If this does happen, you want to click on Load Default Layout. It's going to fail again. you're going to go to load default layout again. And then once I've done that twice, I'm going to leave this up. And I'm going to go to the folder where I put my project in. And so I'm going to go over to this 475 raw video, which, oops, that's the wrong folder. I'm going to go to, that's where this video file will go here in a second. I'm going to go to Google Drive. I'm going to go down to 2021 Spring. I'm going to go to this course. And you'll see that I've got this folder here now, right? I've got my tutorial series 1. If I open that up, in here there's this library folder. I'm going to open that up. And what I'm looking for is this current layout underscore or dash default DWLT. All that matters is what I want to do is I want to select this file. I want to right click on it. And I want to copy this file. And then I want to paste it somewhere else nearby. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on this folder, and I'm just going to hit Command or Control V to paste this in here, right? So I've pasted this in, so I've got a copy in here, and I've got a copy that's outside of this. Now what's happening is that somehow Unity corrupts the window layout when it quits, and I have no idea why that's happening. But it is. So I quit, come in here, and so I've got this, I pasted it here. If I double click on the library and I go ahead and hit Command or Control V again, it creates this copy, which isn't exactly what I wanted to do, but what I can now do is I can right click on this, and I can either go to delete or move to trash, depending on if you're in Windows, or maybe it's moved to recycling bin or whatever they call it. So I'm going to move the original one there, and then in my case I have to rename this. So I'm going to delete just the characters copy. Now once I've done that, now if I go back to Unity Hub and I go to Open Unity Hub, and I click on this project, it should actually open. That happens. It did not work. Fuck. Okay, so in that last segment, I quit out of frustration because it didn't work. So what happened is I quit again. I opened the project. And what I did differently was I clicked on Restore Factory Defaults. And then after I did that, then I copied that file that I showed you in the library folder and pasted it somewhere else. And then quit the program, pasted it back in, essentially got rid of the old one, put the new one in, opened up Unity Hub again, and opened the project, and it worked. And you'll notice that the window is incredibly tiny, and that's because it's now reset to the factory default window size, right? And so I could either maximize this, or I can just, stretch from the corner. If I maximize this fully, it's going to go up full screen, and the menu at the top will disappear. But it does give us the best way to work. So